basically we're the guys. There it is. During pre-sales, when it gets into technical or integration concerns, we're the team that comes in. I've been with Pros for over 10 years. Most of that time I was actually in the implementation services, so I've lived and breathed kind of what it went to go into implementing an on-premise solution. Christine and Matt will be presenting with me, and they're going to introduce themselves a little later on. Rather than going through and having each of you introduce yourselves so I know who you are, I'm going to have you take a poll. So if you get out your application, the little app on your phone, and click into it, there's the instructions. But what I'd like to know is, how long have you been a Pros customer? Just click it into it. And we're going to come through at the end and see how we're doing in terms of attendance and legacy folks that are with us. If you have any problems with the technology, I'm a technology guy, I can help you with that. Just a short agenda. I'm going to go through and start talking about what is SaaS, software as a service, and what does it mean to you. I'm going to segue into a little bit more about what is it that Pros can do with that SaaS offering, and then finally talking with Matt around what Microsoft brings to the table and how they really help us out. So currently today, when you're talking about in-house software, what you've got is a great workable solution, but you're the ones that are responsible for making sure that it's up, that it's running, that it's modern. You know, that you're not running on some very, very old version of software just because I don't have IT budget in order to get it upgraded, right? And when something goes on, whether it's with the server, the infrastructure that's running on, the network, the software through the database, the actual Pros Pricing Solution Suite or other software, you've got to go to find that one vendor and figure out with that vendor if it's really them or if it's somebody else, right? So if the report's not running fast, is the database not there? Perhaps it's the disk that's not running fast. You've got a lot of different challenges that you're managing. And you're going through and trying to figure out what's going on. And when it's working right, that's great. What you've probably also done is you've trained up individual resources. You've got a DBA, or you've got some intense knowledge around how the Pro solution is being run today. And if that person decides to go and take a nice European vacation for a couple months and something goes on, you're kind of stuck holding on to it, right? If the server goes down, you're tied up. So the whole premise behind software as a service is you've just got that one vendor, that one partner to hug. It's not a throat to choke. It's a partner to hug because it's always going to be great, right? But it's really everything we talked about in terms of is the operating system right, is what the hardware it's running on, is the application modern? Am I on a current version? Has it been tuned to be that right thing? That's all on that one point of contact, right? You can come and talk to Pros. What Pros has is a whole suite of stuff that's going into making sure we have an up and running application. You know, we've chosen to run with Microsoft Azure, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We've tuned the infrastructure with them to say we're taking advantage of all those little bits because we know our software best. We're the ones that know here's the exact right setting for max IOPS in a database. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. We do. And we worked with Microsoft to make sure we have it tuned just right. We selected the right operating system, the right database, but you don't have to worry about all that. It's just software as a service. You're able to go and say, is it there? Is it running? Is it great? Pros maintains a DevOps model. What that really means is our developers are sitting right next to our cloud support engineers. So when something comes up, you're not having to replicate and say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, try to recreate it. You've got this long process of trying to just prove that something's going on. They can actually right there in system look at it. If they need to create a clone, motion it over, get it fixed, and then test the fix, let you see that before they even touch your production. No more are you just trying to apply something and figure out, is this right, and then working through a bunch of processes. Pros stands up and does it for you. We're also always monitoring that system. We're keeping an eye on it to make sure that it's running efficiently. We're looking for degradations. Is it something where we start to see a trend of reports running slower? We can get in there before you even notice an issue because it's that one partner to go and talk to. Okay? This is a lot of what Pros has laying underneath the covers, but what does it mean for you, right? It means that Pros is always there giving you that current modern solution. We're always upgrading you. With some of the features you're going to see here in a little bit, if you want to turn those on, you're not implementing a whole new system. You're not having to go procure hardware, allocate resources to install it. It's done for you. You can essentially turn it on right away and take advantage. And if you don't like it, turn it on, keep using it because it's awesome, right? But it's a lot of stuff like this. And additionally, because Pros is committing for you to have that service up and running, we have that application service level agreement. We're going to commit to a certain level. And all of our decisions underneath the covers, what operating system we're using, what version we're upgrading to, what process goes into it, that's on pros to worry about. So you always have an up and current solution. That's software as a service. It's really about making sure you just have this great service that's reliable, modern, and convenient. And pros took a lot of time to look into this. And some of the innovations we got into is what Christine's going to talk about next in terms of what's more than just an uptime, right? More than just software that's current, but features like that.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
All right, I don't have a lifeguard voice. I was a lifeguard for a little bit, but they never listened to me. My name is Christine Byun. I'm the Director of Product Management at Pros for our pricing products. I've been with Pros a total of 10 years. And through that, I've seen the transition of our products from on-prem to cloud. So I'd like to share a little bit of my insight on how that's really changed product innovation at Pros. As you may be aware, we announced our cloud-first strategy a few years back. And I have to say the product team has been extremely excited about everything that's brought to the table. First off, we have an incredible amount of computing power, an infinite amount with Azure at our fingertips. We have great new technology to leverage around machine learning and AI, which you've been hearing about throughout the last 2 days. And we've made improvements and changes to our development process for it to be more agile, to be more quick, to develop these features, get them into users and your hands much more quickly than the old world processes of 2 times a year releases, which then take months of installation and testing. So we're really excited about that. And we think that 2017 is a nice example of how we've accelerated a lot of the features and innovations that we have. We had 73 major features released and hundreds of minor features and additional enhancements on top of that. We released 2 cloud-based products, the new version of Guidance and Opportunity Detection. I'll give a short overview of those products and how the cloud has enabled us to provide self-service and very quick time to value for those types of products. And we've had 38 incremental releases. So back to the agile process, faster delivery, incremental delivery, automated processes for testing that code, deploying that code. And what that means is that we work with you to define a schedule up front. Every year we say, these are the times where we're going to upgrade your cloud environment for you. And we work around that with your schedule as well. We'll upgrade the test environment first, and then you'll be able to conduct your internal testing. At some point after that, we'll then upgrade production. So a lot of that work that Scott was talking about earlier, it's seamless. You don't have to worry about the installation work with your IT team. We're also happy to see a 50% growth in cloud customers. So a lot of our customers are taking advantage of these new capabilities in the cloud, of the ease of maintenance and upgrades here. And along the way, we continue to invest in R&D, same level, very high level as before, and conducting user research. One of the things that the cloud has enabled us to do strategically is connect our products in a much more seamless way. So we're talking about the Pros ecosystem. Our goal here is that if you have one cloud product with Pros, you're already set up with that cloud platform, so it makes it much easier for you to upgrade to new services, new products, Opportunity Detection being the newest one, and leverage the configuration and the data that you already have in the system to get started. So we're not talking about another project or another installation that you start over from scratch and figure out what data you need. We say, oh, what products do you have already? Okay, what products would you like to add? There's a certain set of steps that are very easy to follow after that, and you may not even need to load any more data. That's kind of the beauty of it here. For example, if you have Guidance, you have all the data you already need to spin up Opportunity Detection. So no data integration, no data quality checking, it's a matter of days. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So to peel back the onion just one layer, this is not a technical discussion, but there's a lot of shared services on the platform perspective that enable us to develop these innovations in each of our products in a connected way. So first off, we're using Azure. Microsoft has been a great partner for us for many years now. We have a great relationship here, and we rely on Azure to get that availability, get the reliability and the security that we know our products will need to provide all of you. And we've done extensive testing with that, and we'll get into much more detail about that with Matt in a little bit. The data lake is a concept going back to the interconnectedness of our products. That's one very heavy investment on our side to be able to get the data easily, not only within our products integrated and then enable you to upgrade easily, but also connect with other data sources. So we're talking about third-party data like competitive data like commodity index prices. Because we're in the cloud, we're able to more easily bring in other pieces of data which will help us improve the intelligence and the insights that we're generating in all of our products. Not only that, we're also looking at the application data, usage, and operational data. So back to the monitoring that Scott was talking about, we're making sure that we have all of these metrics accounted for so that we can ensure the products are up and running, performing well. And back to the usability, we have the ability now to see how our features are being used, whether they're working or not, and then folding that back into our agile development process to improve going forward. I'll mention the customer data mart here at the bottom because this comes up a lot. There's a data lake. How do I get data out of that? I have my own data mart. I have my own data warehouse. Well, part of the vision here is that you can extract certain pieces of data very easily from our data lake into your data warehouse. And we'll work with you on determining what pieces of data that is so that you can then conduct additional analysis outside the system using third-party BI tools. On the intelligence piece, we are leveraging a lot of the Azure machine learning services, and they're continuously adding new capabilities here. So back to some of the sessions from yesterday, we have a vast amount of data now. We're connecting that between all our products in the data lake, and now we're leveraging the latest ML and AI technology to generate the personalized recommendations, to generate those insights and intelligence within the products. And finally, on management. So we're talking about less administration, less maintenance and support from your side, but there are still some administration tasks that obviously need to be done. And what we're looking at here is a single platform module. We call it the app portal, where you can go in and get all the capabilities you need to manage all Pros products in one place. Things like setting up authentication, authorization, things like permissions, and also looking at the SLA and performance metrics so you ensure you know how the products are working and you feel comfortable with the capabilities that are being leveraged. But okay, all of that to say what really, at the end of the day, what this means is that you get faster time to value from our products in the cloud. You don't have that middle step of acquiring VMs or hardware and installation and working with IT teams on that. We can get you up and running very quickly. And also, we're adding capabilities to our products around trialability, self-service. So it's a combination of what that deployment model enables for us, plus the capabilities that we're building right into the product. And we'll go into some examples of that. Guidance is the first one. Our new version of Guidance is completely self-service. So let me walk you through a potential workflow here. Let's say you're interested in looking at this new cloud version of Guidance, and you want to get started with a POC or a trial. What you can do is contact us. In a couple hours, we'll have login information for you. You log in, and the first thing we ask you is to upload your data. You can upload just a subset of data in Excel right through the UI here. It will then guide you through that whole process. You know, your data quality looks like this. There's a couple issues here, but we can still move forward. Helps you map that data to what we need in the product. And then it runs through the whole segmentation and guidance process right here in real time. After that, you can review the results of that segmentation and guidance process. So let's say this is, 30 minutes later, assuming you have your data in Excel already. Now you can see, okay, there's a $5 million opportunity here. It's actually crunched through all the numbers using that high level of processing power we have with Azure and come up with these results. And not only that, you can dig into these results further to then validate what we're recommending. So we're saying, okay, we think that the price should be around this for the customer product combination, but why? Dig in further, and now we tell you there's additional customers, similar customers, that are purchasing at a much lower price. So it gives you the analytics right there, no configuration. We know exactly what to show at this point in the workflow to help you validate the results. So that's how you can get personalized pricing using our cloud version of guidance very quickly, self-service. And not only that, you can continue to refine your segmentation over time. And I know, it's great to work with pros and you love to call us and work with us, but if you don't want to, you can do all of this in a self-service fashion and it's all productized. So from a product strategy perspective, we're investing heavily to make this easier for you. And ultimately what that means is it's a lot faster as well. I just wanted to point out the fact that we're talking about 10 weeks here, which is what we're talking about as far as deployment. So the first step that you saw, just the POC where you load a little bit of data and then you see the results for that, maybe a small subsection or a BU, that could be done in a matter of hours. But when we're talking about the rolling out to production, we're talking about 10 weeks, which is nearly half of the time that we were talking about before. And we're continuing to find ways to streamline that process. Opportunity detection is that other new product that we've built from the ground up as a cloud product. And just as a reminder, we leverage AI here, machine learning, to determine what products your existing accounts would most likely want to purchase. And you can surface these product recommendations to sales reps in the CRM. You can also surface those recommendations directly to buyers in the e-commerce portal. And all of that in 30 days. So I hope this shows you how we're progressing and where we're focused and how fast you can get with our cloud products. 10 weeks sounded pretty good. 30 days sounds pretty good. I'm challenging our team to get that down to a day. I mean, if we can, especially if you're an existing customer, we have the data that we need for this, we could cut this in half. All right, and there's one more cloud product that I'm very excited to announce, which is Price on Demand. That's our real-time dynamic pricing engine. And really none of this would be possible without cloud technology. We are talking about incredible scale. We're talking about a large amount of processing power to calculate all and every single price in an e-commerce environment and in a sales rep's environment in real time. And I know that many of you have very complex calculations going into that price. So it's not even just about retrieving a price. It's about going and retrieving all of the variables of that price, including what is the customer's willingness to pay, what is the competition doing, and calculating that all in real time. So, we've seen some incredible results with some of our initial customers. And all of this is due to the fact that we can scale in an incredible way. I mean, to deploy something like this and manage it in-house, it would require a lot of effort. It would require you to analyze, how much power you actually need. But with pros, you can start small. You can say, well, I'm only going to deploy a small amount. I'm only going to ask for a certain number of dynamic prices. And then you can continue to grow without even changing anything other than just calling us more, calling the dynamic pricing engine a little bit more. So with that, I'd like to introduce Matt to talk more about how Azure's helping us provide all this.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't have any good lifeguard stories, so sorry about that. I'm Matt Justice. I'm in the worldwide marketing organization at Microsoft, focused on pros. And I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about some of the benefits that Azure provides and some of the things and reasons why pros has chosen Azure. So we know that there are different cloud providers out there. There are on-prem solutions, there are private clouds, but really what makes Azure different? So Azure is the only cloud provider that provides hyperscale, hybrid cloud implementation, and combines that with enterprise service and SLAs. So that's great. What does that mean? Let's get down to brass tacks. So every week we process 2 trillion IoT messages. 2 trillion with a T. We have 50 trillion Azure storage blobs of data. Infinite is a strong word, but there is no company that exists that can possibly handle all of the scale that Microsoft has available on Azure. So let's talk about enterprise level security and compliance. So how many people here know about GDPR? All the fines are getting implemented at the end of the month. How many of those people work at companies who have thousands of people dedicated to ensuring that you're GDPR compliant? I guess just me. So Microsoft has done so much work in security and compliance that across the entire globe that there's no reason that anyone else should be doing that. We can help you, and through pros, we can help you do that. So for a moment, I digress. So we're talking about the scale that Microsoft has here. So when we have engineers developing all of these software solutions, you get the latest and greatest technology. You get the latest and greatest AI, machine learning algorithms. Why would you go out and develop that sort of thing? The same thing with Pro's SaaS model. So anytime that they're rolling out a new solution, you get the latest and greatest. So it doesn't make sense for you to have an on-prem solution when you can get better technology using a SaaS model or using Azure. So the last piece is the hybrid model. So we totally get that not every company is going to fully adopt the cloud, nor should they. There's data that you want on-prem for various reasons. And we have solutions across the board that support those types of implementations as well. So what does all this mean? So we provide technology that enables our customers, like pros, to enable their customers to get the most out of these solutions. So when we talk about hyperscale, Microsoft has 50 Azure regions worldwide. So if you're working with a customer that has some data sovereignty issues, we got you covered. We're in 140 different countries. I mean, literally there is no way that anyone could possibly use all of the capacity that we have available. If you have 5 sellers using 10 variables in Pro's Smart CPQ, great, we got it covered. If you have thousands of sellers with hundreds of variables, Azure's got you covered. So to give you a little context here, we'll show a short video. So again, we have hundreds of data centers around the world. Our core business is technology that enables you to do more. So you should be focusing on your core business and not worrying about how much hardware you need from the IT group. Let's move to the next slide. So Microsoft is the leading productivity company in the world. And Pros actually utilizes a lot of the developer tools to provide the best software to their customers. And these are just some of the features. I won't go into too much depth because it gets a little technical. But essentially, you can use any language. You have hundreds of different services that you can utilize to provide the best solutions to customers. And you can manage all of that data through the Azure portal and see how it's being used. You can see that it's secure and that it's such an easy portal, easy tool to use. The productivity here is unbelievable. So a trusted cloud is really, so any building that you walk into at Microsoft, the first thing you see is a little signboard that says Microsoft runs on trust. So we don't use your data for anything without your approval. There's transparency on how your data is used, and it is absolutely secure. So again, we work with engineers around the world ensuring that your data is managed securely, it meets local laws and regulations. There's no more secure location than Microsoft Azure. And again, here we go. So this is just our little bingo sheet of a handful of the security compliance regulations that we meet. And we have new ones being added literally every single day. Do you work with the federal government? We have we meet security regulations that they require in order to do things in the cloud. Tons of different countries around the world, and new ones are being added every single day. So a hybrid cloud, again, I don't want to get into too much technical detail here, but we get that you want some of the features that are on Azure, or some of the features for like multi-factor authentication, things like that. But you don't necessarily want to put all of your data in the cloud, or you maybe want to have a multi-cloud strategy. So, use one of the other guys, use a private cloud, totally get it. And we offer solutions that support all of these different implementation options. An open cloud. So we offer these technology solutions to anyone. We used to be, I think you guys heard earlier in the keynote from Tony Towns-Whitley, we used to be the big monolithic scary guy who would push you around in a meeting. We work with Apple. We work with frenemies, we call them, right? So we're enabling people all around the world to develop solutions on Azure that enable their customers and our customers to do more. And an intelligent cloud. So this is where it gets really interesting, and Tony talked a lot about this earlier. Pros is doing some really cool stuff with the AI and machine learning technology that we have available on Azure, and you can leverage that. Again, people can develop AI algorithms, people can develop machine learning algorithms, but why would you spend all that time outside of your core business? That's our job. And this last one always takes a bit to load. So what you'll see is a laundry list of the different services on Azure that we provide. So everything from simple storage blobs to AI, machine learning, cognitive services, IoT functionality, and Pros utilizes a ton of these solutions to enable you to do more.
So next steps. I believe at the start we took a little poll to find out how long folks have been with Pros. So let's swap over to see the results. Awesome. So there's one person here that's really interested in finding out about the rest of the stuff. Right. Great. So it's great to see that we even have some very long-term customers, and that's really part of Pros' DNA, is we want to be with you for that long term. We want to help you get as much value from the solution as we can. So before I proceed on to the very last step about how do you get that extra value, I do want to pause to see if there's any questions. You can ask through the app, or you can raise your hand and use your internal lifeguard voice to ask those. Yes, sir.
I work for Turkish Airlines. They have a problem now about the cloud because of the politics, new regulations. They don't want us to send data or systems to be outside Turkey borders. Some nice things. Like I also heard similar things from China, Russia. So why don't we have Azure in Turkey? We are the most needed country maybe, but we don't have it.
Well, there are more Azure data centers being implemented. I don't know that Turkey is on the roadmap. I don't have that in front of me, but we are implementing data centers that allow for that data sovereignty issue to be addressed. So as we invest billions of dollars into these data centers, we're trying to take that information into account. And it's not the first time that we've heard that with some of the political environments that are occurring here in the US. So we do have things that address that. We don't necessarily have something that addresses your immediate concern. So there are regions outside of the US that you could use as an Azure data center. If it is required to stay within Turkey, I don't believe we have a data center there. So.
Yeah, you don't have it now.
There are some service providers though that will implement the hybrid model in country, and you can actually architect something which will allow you to retain some of your data sovereignty within an Azure, private Azure subscription, if you will, locally. So that would be something that has to be architected for you.
And Azure Stack might also be an option as well.
Yeah, the Azure Stack market.
So Azure Stack is essentially an on-prem solution that Microsoft provides that has a subset of Azure capabilities. So, the use case that we usually think about is, and it's sort of extreme, if you're on a submarine, a military submarine, and you want to be able to do computation, you don't want to broadcast your signal to whomever you're trying to avoid. So something like that, where you have a subset of these Azure capabilities, but want to be cordoned off from, that's definitely an option.
I don't think we would deploy on a submarine, no. What we would do is we'd work with you, and we definitely want to continue to leverage Azure because, as Christine had mentioned, we're architecting to take advantage of being on Azure. So some of the stuff is very much tied to that. We want to take advantage of the power. But we would work with you. I believe we're already in that sales cycle talking with you around how exactly we can address that. Yep. Right.
Scott, to meet our internal audits, compliance requirements and stuff, we as a cloud customer, potential cloud customer, would we be working with pros or Microsoft in terms of getting compliance certificates and things like that to produce to our internal audit?
Right. Yeah, so the question, if you didn't hear it, was when you're working with pros in terms of an engagement, do you have to also go to Microsoft to ask for their certificates? That great NASCAR slide we had, right? No, that's part of the thing is with software as a service, you're coming to pros, and we're committing to all of that. We are absolutely proud of those certs, but we have our own agreements with Microsoft so that we can provide ours. We don't have the laundry list of all of those, but we've got some of the key ones. Earlier today we had Manoj talking about it. ISO 27001 and SOC 2 Type 2 allowed with the Cloud Security Alliance. So we have the ones that really key on we are a provider of services and how do we secure to make sure your data, because even before it gets to Microsoft, it's interacting with our policies and procedures, right? If something were to happen, our policies and procedures engage on top of Microsoft's, right? We're trusting on them to make sure the multi-factor authentication. From what I understand is if you go into one of their data centers and you're allowed to go in, you have to stand on a scale and get weighed. And when you leave, you have to weigh the same amount. That way you didn't leave something behind or take something out. I mean, it's huge levels of detail. If you come visit pros, you don't have to stand on a scale. You're okay, right? But it's that dual layering of we have those certifications and relationship with Microsoft, but it's on us to commit to those levels.
Pros will be our one person.
Just give us hugs, Raj. Just give us hugs, yes.
We like hugs too. It's totally fine.
Great. Anybody else? Any questions? Was there anything online, Teresa? Okay, great. So the next steps. I mean, you want to get advantage of all these great things you've heard about and what's coming up in the future. For our existing customers, so except for that one vote, oh, there was two. Somebody else popped up there and voted in. You need to contact your customer success manager. That's that person in customer success who is there, and they're going to sit down and work with you on what makes sense to do first, right? What we don't want to do is just say, forget everything, we want to take advantage of what Christine said, which is we know a lot about you and your relationship and what you want, how your business runs. So talk to your customer success manager, get engaged with them, and they can work with you to say, okay, what really makes sense? What can we do in a timeline that fits your needs? If you're being asked to get out of local data centers, if you're being asked to address the technology, to get current, right? If you're running on an old version of PPSS, Pros Pricing Solution Suite is the old name, then our customer success managers are the ones that can contact you, can work with you and give you that modern approach. So with that, thank you very much for your time. If anybody has any questions they want to take after the fact, we'll be waiting up here for the next about 10 minutes before the next room comes in. So thank you.